Welcome to a webinar in the Financial Abuse Awareness series. My name is Bill Mitchell. This series is part of the Financial Protections Project, co-designed by the Queensland Government, Caxton Legal Centre and Townsville Community Law. The series is an online continuing professional development program that aims to raise financial industry awareness about the financial abuse of older persons. Before we begin, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. This presentation is number 4 of the skills modules and is about economic abuse. The slides are not read verbatim, but they are paraphrased for emphasis. They are designed to be standalone, readable modules and contain references for deeper learning. So let's begin. Before we begin this module, let's take a moment to think about this statement from Cuton. In the past decade, there's been increased research and clinical focus on economic abuse, and recent waves of population-based studies have included questionnaire items specific to economic abuse. However, it is a form of intimate partner violence that is difficult to measure because it is often not recognised as abuse by those who are experiencing it. Economic abuse is a form of intimate partner violence or domestic violence. Economic abuse should not be conflated with financial abuse, but can overlap with some forms of interpersonal violence in the lives of some older poly victims. For example, older women, economic abuse can coalesce with other forms of violence such as elder abuse, and this often presents as a form of poly-victimisation. The screening for and responses to economic abuse are different to financial abuse, but can exist within the same settings and around the same issues. On the right-hand side, you'll see the learning outcomes for those participating in this session. Advisors should be able to identify economic abuse as a distinct phenomenon. Economic abuse is different to financial abuse, but it does incorporate some identical concepts. Despite this, the terms are often conflated. Economic abuse involves behaviours aimed at controlling women's ability to acquire, use, maintain money, credit, property or other economic resources, which harm a woman's economic security and potential to achieve self-sufficiency. Economic abuse is more focused on working age life and household financial circumstances. It is also focused more directly on the power and control dynamics of family violence. Economic abuse is a form of intimate partner violence or family violence. It has 3 dimensions reflected in the questions in the Scale of Economic Abuse tool, or C. The questions revolve around economic control, economic exploitation, and economic sabotage. Economic abuse is a gendered issue. For older women, it can have a lifetime prevalence. Like hybrid abuse, it is significantly associated with other forms of interpersonal violence, including physical and psychological abuse. Economic abuse peaks in the 40s and 50s, which reflects the median divorce age, amongst other factors. The rates for older women roughly mirror those in the 18 to 29 years of age group. Advisors should be aware that financial abuse or economic abuse must occur within a relevant relationship to be subject to the Queensland Domestic and Family Violence Protection Act. Relevant relationships include intimate personal relationships, family relationships, and informal care relationships. Remedies may be available for economic abuse under that Domestic and Family Violence Protection Act, and this can include the making of judicial orders, including orders for protection. You can see the matrix here, which is Adams's 2008 Scale of Economic Abuse, or C, and it shows you the types of questions or the types of screening that occurs in each of those subscales. Before we leave, let's think about this excerpt from Redfern Legal Centre's For Love or Money, Subtly Corrosive Impact of Financial Abuse. Thanks for listening to this webinar series. Feel free to download the PDF file for future reference. The next module in this series is number 5 of 7 in the skills modules, and it's about particular groups experiencing financial abuse. Thanks for joining us.